Hi there VC, Steve Whitty here. Time for another video. I'm recording this on Christmas Eve, and I hope to have this published on Boxing Day. So you'd have already celebrated Christmas by the time you get to see it. So I hope that you've all had an enjoyable, peaceful Christmas, and that you were able to spend some time with loved ones, unlike last year. As this is going to be the last video of 2021, I thought this is time to do a sort of like a retrospective of sort of the best of. So I'm looking at my top 5 reissues and my top 5 new releases of 2021. I think there's a few of these floating around. Sort of clear the decks a little bit for 2022, which I think the first video everyone will be doing will be the vinyl tag, hopefully. So without further ado, I'll start with the reissues. So at number 5, it's Sparks, and this is their Pulling Rabbits Out of the Hat. Now, this reissue was meant to come out last year, 2020, got delayed. It eventually came out about April time. I'm trying to think when this album was originally released. Nice little reissue package. In yellow vinyl, cut at Abbey Road. Sparks are fast becoming one of my favourite bands of all time. So anything that's come out by them reissue, I do tend to snap it up. So there you go, Sparks pulling rabbits out of a hat. Really good. Number 5. Where do I put these? There we go. Series of reissues that have been happening. They started last year, but going on through the year, being the PJ Harvey vinyl reissues, and this is probably my favourite. Stories from the City, Stories from the Sea. Originally came out in 2000. As I say, it was reissued last year. I think this is her best album. It's just a song that sort of songs that someone seemed to be happy at that point in their life, and just things like Good Fortune, This Is Love. There were two singles off the album. Cracking album. What I think was made better, I appreciate more about the PJ Harvey reissues was, unlike a lot of the reissues, she decided to keep the demos and reissue them separately. So if you wanted the demos, you could buy them. Where I think sometimes a great tendency now is to put the reissues in box sets that include all the demos and all that. I'm of the view, if I want to listen to them, I'll stream them. If I like them enough to wish to buy them, then I'll buy them. And I did like the way that this whole reissue campaign has been done. Next year, Let England Shake is coming out in January. So yeah, I think I'll put my order in for that one. At number 3, Therapy, Trouble Gum. This came out around March. Again, this was much delayed. A music on vinyl reissue. Originally released in 1994. I loved this when it first came out. It sort of spoke to me at the time. It hit me at a time of life where I was a bit unsure of myself. I wasn't sure where I was going, personally or job wise. It's sort of song to me. Tracks on here: Scream Major, which was a big hit single for Nowhere, Die Laughing, Trigger Inside, Lunacy Boo. You've got to be in the right frame of mind to listen to this. It's quite an intense listen. But I'm glad I got this reissue because Pete in the shop in Psychotron Records, my local shop, he had an original issue, which I think was on green, might have been on green vinyl, and he was asking £90 for that, and he's cheap, so yeah, really pleased this came out to sort of like fill a hole in the collection. I think one of the things I'm going to try and do in 2022 is sort of rein it in when it comes to reissues. If I've got the CD of it, an example of this, they reissued Spiritualized, Ladies and Gentlemen, We Are Floating in Space, I think it's the title. And I was all ready to go and put my order in. Then I suddenly thought, hang on, when was the last time I played the CD? And it got to be about 15, 20 years. So why buy a vinyl record that's going to be going to have the same effect? So unless it's something that really I'm after, I'm not going to really go too much on the reissues. Number two. Pair of albums by Trees. These were reissued. This is The Garden of Jane Delaunay, the debut album. And in 2020 there was a box set of stuff. I was aware of Trees and I'd streamed it and loved it, but missed out on the box set. So when I saw this was going to be the name of the record label, Earth reissued this. I just snapped them up, both albums. Earth have been really good with reissuing folk rock. There you go, nice green vinyl. Both albums were in green and green. They did Anne Briggs was another one. One of her albums was reissued. I've seen a Bert Jansch being reissued as well, and they're really nice pressings. This is an excellent album, and I think that's it here. The news has just broke. I mean, just before I got this, Celia Humphreys, who was the vocalist, passed away. Really excellent, sort of like folk rock, hints of psych in there as well. Yeah, I was so pleased to pick these up. They really were excellent. Sort of made my 2021. And my top reissue for last year was this Supergrass, In It for the Money, their second album, which originally came out in 1996. You've got on here singles Richard the Third, Late in the Day, Going Out. This was a decided market shift to how the debut album, I Should Coco. This is very much more mature sounding album. In a way, they were trying to move away from All Right. It could have been so easy for them to get pigeonholed with that. Admittedly, then they weren't getting the success as they once were, but it just meant that they were getting they were standing proper as a band. And I think they're playing the Moseley Folk Festival this year, and it was nice blue vinyl. And also, what I did like as well. Back here. Included a 12-inch on white vinyl of The Animal and The Sun Hits the Sky. I hope they continue with the reissues because there's some great albums out there that I would like to sort of get hold of. So those were the my top reissues of 2021. Let's go on to the top albums. At number 5, probably my favourite band at the moment is Public Service Broadcasting, and this is their Bright Magic album. This is an album sort of inspired by Germany. It's not, as I said when I showed it at the time, it was not as immediate as their previous albums, Race for Space, for example, which is sort of like everyone's go-to album by the band. But it's still a good album. I've listened to it a couple of times. It's growing on me more and more as I listen to it. So yeah, I think this deserves to be up there. It's my favourite albums. At number 4, Matt Berry, The Blue Elephant. This is released on Acid Jazz. For those who don't know, Matt Berry's an actor. He's got one of these distinct voices. You might not have seen him, but you'll heard him on voiceovers and whatever. But he's also a musician, and for the past 20 years, I think, he's been doing sort of like psych rock albums. And I was aware of him, and I streamed this first, Blue Elephant, and I just fell in love with it. I just fell in love with it, and I just had to buy a copy, and I got one. Went, I think, HMV in Solihull, and got it quite cheap, and befitting an album called Blue Elephant. It's on blue vinyl. Absolute wonderful record. It hints of psych. He plays every instrument apart from drums and percussion, so it's very much at home. You got your mellotron, you got your fuzz guitar, you've got your Hammond. This sort of drips of it. Yeah, I think it just absolutely oozes sort of like 60s psych influence. Very fascinating character, Matt Berry. As I say, he's been on Acid Jazz recording for 20 years, and they've just released a retrospective box set, but there's also a double album as well. But his albums are out there, well worth getting hold of. At number 3, Mogwai Has Love Continues. I've really started getting into Mogwai. I've got a previous album, I think Atomic, which was a soundtrack. This, again, ticks all my boxes for me. Modern, but with a hint of prog. Just wonderful playing. Richie Sacramento was the lead single off here, which tweaked my interest when I heard it on Six Music. It's just wonderful. It's just a wonderful sounding record. Deservedly got to number 1 in the album charts. Gave them their first number 1 album. I think timing, I think it was released early in the year. But absolutely wonderful. Well worth seeking out. Absolutely. Mogwai, it's probably one of the things I'm going to do more, is try and get some more of their stuff. At number 2, this was one released really early. This is Arlo Parks, Collapsed in Sunbeams. Wonderful album. It was very close to being my number 1 album. Deservedly won the Mercury Prize. She ticks all, again, one of these people that ticks all stars, all bases. And you got the soundtrack, clapped in some beats. He's got a wonderful voice. They're absolute, it's one of these people you think you've got, you got high hopes for her in the future. And a nice deep red vinyl. Absolute. It's just the songs that it stood out. The quality of the songs. And deservedly got all the plaudits, winning the Mercury Prize, and I believe, and all that. Absolutely wonderful. I look forward to listening to more Arlo Parks in the future. And here you go. The number 1 album. The first thing I'm going to do is get this out. Is Modu Mokhtar, Afrique Victim. This just tipped it as my album of the year. For those who don't know, Modu Mokhtar is from Niger, West Africa. Sort of Tuareg. It's got that. It's got that same background. But his guitar playing is absolutely wonderful. It's his favourite musician is Jimi Hendrix, and that comes across. It's while you've got that West African feel, you've also got the sort of rock feel of Hendrix. It's a beautiful blend. Most of the albums I listen to from new, I stream first. When I streamed this, Vantage was working from home mostly. I just, next time I was out, I knew I had to buy this album. I was just thought, this is just wonderful. The cover art is wonderful. It does a song called Layla. It's not that Layla. Title track's wonderful. It's a near, like Arlo Parks, it's a near faultless album in my opinion. But it's just, I just think absolutely wonderful piece of work, and I think just that makes it as my number one. There you go, VC. So that was my picks of 2021. It's been a stranger year. Things have slightly improved, yet things seem to have gone back a bit. And I think it's more to do, maybe a bit more planning beforehand, but I don't know. Next year, I think hopefully a bit more confidence. People have a bit more confidence. This Omicron variant doesn't seem to, while people are getting it, doesn't seem to be doing as much damage as what we've had previously. I've got Bearded Theory to look forward to in May next year, and that'll soon be on us. And hopefully, touch wood, that will all that will come across. That's my aim next year, is to actually see some more live music, not big concerts, but you just sing a local band or a local covers band. Just get the feel of live music again. Get the feeling of being with people. I think that's been the hardest part of the last couple of years. So all I wish to say is happy New Year. As I was going to say, this will be published after Christmas. Have a great 2021. Have a good New Year's celebration, if you can. Now, if you're new to the channel and you like what you see, click on the subscribe button. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Love the interaction. Feel free to leave a comment. I will get back to you. Unless your name's Frank Carradus, who I think you're not, who commented on my Birmingham video from some time back. So whatever you get up to, VC, take care of yourselves, keep spinning, but more importantly, keep on smiling.